When I was a kid growing up in the 80s, I think one of my favorite things growing up was Matchbox cars. And I played with these for hours. I had maybe 100 different Matchbox cars, and they were kind of a thing. We were collecting these and sometimes trading them amongst friends, but most importantly, building those Matchbox car racetracks, or just setting up little jump ramps and jumping them and pretending that you were in the driver's seat. And really, you were, with your imagination as a kid. You know, back in those days, you were right in the driver's seat and you were getting big air like Dukes of Hazzard. And now Diatone, after 10 years of being a company, they've come out with this little RC car that is a tabletop RC car. It's about the size of a Matchbox car. I'll just hold it up and show you there. They have oversized wheels. They are larger wheels than the other 1/76 scale RC cars out there called the turbo racing cars. I was kind of thinking it was close to the same thing, but it's absolutely different than the ones we played with previously on the channel that are 1/76 scale. So these have larger tires. They'll go over carpet. They'll drive around on the wood floors, and they'll actually do FPV donuts. You can do FPV with these. You can wear FPV goggles, and they also make a version with a camera on top, and that literally puts you in the driver's seat. So this one I think runs for a little over 20 minutes time on a full charge. It has a USB-C port on the bottom of it. Actually, no, not USB-C. It has a JST port on the very bottom of it that charges up, I guess, in about 20 minutes time. But it gives you a lot of drive time. So if you have kids and they want to drive this for quite a long time, it's a battery that's going to last, and then the kid's going to get some satisfaction out of driving this. So they're not going to be upset that the battery dies in 5 minutes, which is really cool. So long battery life, and I think one of the funnest, just easiest things that I've done as far as FPV goes in the past 5-6 years. This is just awesome. It's better than I thought it was going to be, and way more fun. So without further ado, let's go ahead and step back into our childhood a little bit, do some FPV donuts and some racing around in the house with this little karting car from Diatone. So super stoked on these, and I think they should be a part of every guy's FPV collection. If you have FPV goggles, grab some of these and have fun with your kids, or drive it yourself and just have a blast. Let's do some racing. Here we go.
Game begin.
All right, guys, welcome back from the drive test. We were driving close to 20 minutes with the FPV version. This one comes in at around $130 with the controller, the car, an FPV camera, the charger. It doesn't come with two AA batteries, but it also does come with FPV goggles. So if you're brand new to FPV and this is your first FPV experience, you get some goggles along with it around for that price. That's pretty cool. You can also get this version with no camera, but it does have a platform on top if you want to add a camera later, which I think is super cool. That one's around $75. If you already have FPV gear, you could maybe wire up your own AIO camera to this car. There should be a port somewhere to plug into, probably for something like 12 volt power to be able to power your camera. It could be a 5 volt port as well. So it just depends on the FPV camera that you decide to put on here. But look how cool this is in comparison to a Matchbox car. I mean, these little karting 1/76 scale cars are actually smaller than a Matchbox car, which is kind of crazy. Now I'm finally living out all my childhood fantasies by being able to sit in the driver seat and drive this. And what I think is really cool about it is that when you're racing around on the floor, when you do look through your goggles, you actually see the front part of the car and you see the wheels turning left and right. I think that is so cool. I think the battery life on these is kind of crazy too. They last 60 minutes, it says on the box. 60-minute battery life for the non-FPV version. And I believe the FPV version is supposed to run for about 20 minutes running the FPV camera. And the big thing about the FPV camera is that it draws more energy from the battery than if you didn't have the camera on there. So that's something to think about. If you want your kids to be able to play with this for a long time and they're just doing tabletop racing, these will run for a really long time. And I don't think your kid will get upset that the battery died too quickly in say like 5 minutes. The transmitters are very basic. They don't have any type of steering or throttle trim on here. I'd like to see that a new version of this had that. It does have a little bind button to the right of the on-off switch. You got your drive wheel here, which is very similar to every other RC car on the planet. You have a little throttle here pulling down on this little trigger. If you push up, it goes in reverse. So they have forward and reverse. They have proportional steering on there, which is crazy. This one's kind of locked into, you can see it's stuck to the side there. I don't know why that one does that. When I turn it off, it does that. On the very bottom, we have a little tiny JST port right there. You can see those two prongs sticking up. That's what you plug in the charger to. And I think this thing charged up probably in like maybe 15 minutes time. Once you have it charged up, a little red light underneath this body will go out. And once it goes out, it has a full charge. It also has an on-off button over here. You can just barely see that, but if you press and hold, the car will turn on. So this controller is on. Let's see if it links up with this car. We'll just turn it on. You can see the red light blinking there. And it should go solid when I have a bind to the transmitter. And let's turn on this other one. So I have two, so we'll just double check here. And it looks like that's blinking back there. Boom, it's on. So it starts out in kind of a beginner mode, and I think over time it starts to go faster and faster. Very similar to the turbo racing cars, but this is the same kind of 1/76 scale idea as turbo racing cars, but these have larger tires on them, so these can actually go places that the turbo racing cars can't go. So Diatone's kind of onto something here to get you more places in your house. The turbo racing cars that we drove on the channel a while back, my girlfriend and I had a lot of fun with those. We did some tabletop racing and she got super addicted to it. Wouldn't give me the transmitter back, so I think that car might be hers now. But this one is different because it will do tabletop racing slow enough to keep it on the table and go around the course, or it'll drive on the carpet, which I think is super cool. The FPV view is a little bit bouncy on the carpet, I think, but on the hardwoods, it's a lot of fun. And at high throttle, everything starts to vibrate a lot. So that's one thing that I noticed about it. If there was any kind of stabilization, that would be awesome. Maybe even just a little bit of grommet action underneath the camera might smooth out some of that bump from the tires. But the tires are, you know, they have a rubber grip on them, and it should keep you from burning out most of the time. If you have any dust or anything on the floor, or any kind of sand or anything, you'll actually start doing FPV burnouts, which was like super cool. I kept going full throttle just to try to do like a power slide or a burnout coming around the corner, and sometimes I would like spin out and turn around and come back. It's so much fun. So I mean, I was probably in about 18 minutes when I got a knock at the door. It was the water department, and so I had to kind of stop. He was like, "Hey, what are you doing? You playing a game?" And I'm like, "Yeah, kinda, sorta." Nope, I'm having fun with my little 176 scale car. And that was a lot of fun. So I think if you want to pick one of these up, you can check it out, link down below. The FPV version is $130, and the non-FPV version is $75. So I think it is really, really fun. And now I'd like to see more of these coming out from Diatone, because I think they have something a little different here than the turbo racing one. And yeah, grab one of these, because you will have a ton of fun with this one. I mean, this is one of my favorite videos that I've done in quite a long time. So I told my girlfriend this morning that I think this is like one of the funnest things I've done, probably on my channel to date. These things are stupid fun. I would get the one with the camera if I was you. And I don't know that they have a version without the goggles, but if you already have goggles, just throw those to the side, or let a friend wear them, and you wear your fancy FPV goggles, and you will be stoked, and they will be stoked to drive this. It would make a great birthday present for a kid too. I think these will end up being my kids. So I appreciate you guys watching the channel. As always, make some comments down below if you think this is cool, and check out the link. As always, it helps me out. I get a little kickback from any of the purchases you make. Take care, everybody. Happy FPV, and yeah, it's Whoop season, and now it's FPV car season. See you on the next one.